The Buccaneers will be missing some key players on Sunday, but might just be getting one back. That and more on today's episode of Locked On Bucs.
You are Locked On Buccaneers, your daily Tampa Bay Buccaneers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, and welcome into this live preview edition of Locked On Bucs, your daily podcast covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I want to thank you for making Locked On Bucs your first listen review every day. Don't forget you can subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, you can follow along on Twitter. I am James Yarcho at JYarcho_Bucs, credentialed member of the media covering your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, here with you every Monday through Friday, along with the everydayers. And for that, I want to share my appreciation for your continued support of the show. One of the ways you can support the show is become a Locked On Bucs insider. You're going to get news, rumors, updates, general thoughts, one-on-one conversations with me via text message. Go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnBucs or click the link in the show notes to become an insider today. This episode is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Keys to victory and predictions coming up in a little bit, but let's start with the news of the day. And that is that Godwin Jr. is questionable for Sunday's game against the Rams after back-to-back full practices. Todd Bowles told the media he is trending towards playing this Sunday, which would be huge for the Bucs offense. I have talked at length this week that I felt that Godwin was the bigger piece that the Bucs needed against the Rams, especially with how well Sean Tucker has been playing the last few weeks, and having Godwin back is going to take some of the pressure and some of the coverage off of Emeka Egbuka. Todd Bowles was asked about what Godwin does, and he said, quote, "He's extremely smart. Number one, he's great in the run game and in the pass game. He's a heck of a blocker, and he's a heck of a receiver. He has great hands that are reliable. He's one of those guys, once Baker starts to scramble, that knows how to get open, and he finds them, and he trusts them. So it brings an added element for us," end quote. And honestly, as much as I've talked about Godwin being the bigger piece for the Bucs offense this week, that was actually an angle that I didn't really take into consideration. But Godwin obviously has been with Baker for a little while, and he's used to seeing the way that Baker extends plays and moves around behind the line of scrimmage, continuing to look downfield. And Godwin's great at finding that soft spot down the field in the defense to get open. Really, the only ones on the team that could have done that were active were Shep and Otten. Egbuka and Tez have not played with Baker long enough to know his tendencies in those situations. And while they're going to get better over time, that's something that you really only get better at after playing together for a while. So that could be another added boost to the offense. As for who isn't playing, Jamel Dean, Ben Bredeson, Hassan Reddick, and Bucky Irving are all out this week. And I'm going to talk more about the Bucky stuff in just a second. But an unfortunate and surprising change to the injury report on Friday is that cornerback Benjamin Morrison was added as a did not participate on Friday with a hamstring injury. That is bad news. You don't miss the last practice of the week with a soft tissue injury that just popped up and then turn around and suit up on Sunday. He's listed as questionable, but I will be very surprised if he plays at all. If he does, I'll be even more surprised if he plays to the level that he's capable of, which honestly, we haven't really seen him do for an entire game this season, or I'll be surprised if he even finishes the game. I don't know what's going on with Morrison this year with these injuries that he's been dealing with, but they have got to get figured out. The dude is an incredible athlete. He has all the talent in the world to become a high-level corner in the NFL, but not if he can't stay on the field. The only way that he's going to get better and get through kind of this, rookie learning curve is by play. And you can't play if you're not healthy. As for Bucky, I've already seen a couple of you mention Bucky in the chat. Let's go ahead and talk about it. There were some reports going around on Thursday, primarily Mike Florio and Rondé Barber, about some non-football related issues. Florio said, quote, I'm not so sure Bucky Irving is going to be back this weekend based upon something I heard when we were in Philadelphia. I'll tell you off air what I heard. That's what he said to co-host Chris Sims, but then Florio continued, I want to be careful. It just underscores the very real existence of inside information because it's something that probably shouldn't be out, but I don't think he's going to be back anytime soon. It definitely is more information than what's in the injury report, end quote. Then you had Rondé Barber, who was a little more diplomatic, we'll say, but he had mentioned that we may not see Bucky at all the rest of the season. He had said something to the, I don't have his exact quote in front of me, but he said something to the effect of Bucky needs to get right with Bucky. But Todd Bowles, he came out, he told the media on Friday that Bucky is expected to return next week against the Arizona Cardinals and that he just didn't handle things well when he got hurt for the first time. I want to say this. First off, Florio is one of those people out there that I am really just not a fan of. The entire thing arose from him basically saying, yeah, I did the Bulls Speak translation the other day on this show. I'm going to do a Florio translation where he basically said, I was told something that I can't tell you, but I'm going to tell you, but I'm going to tell you without telling you so that you know what I say, as ominous as possible, just to make sure that you know that I know things. Is basically all he said in all of that. If he was told something and wasn't supposed to talk about it, don't bring it up because it has created this entire whirlwind now. Ultimately, he should have said nothing at all, but that's not what happened. Here's where I stand on the Bucky Irving thing. I think, and this is pure speculation on my part, I think there was a lot that hit him all at once. And he just didn't know how to handle it. I mean, think back to when you had just turned 23 years old. Were you great at processing adversity and personal loss and all of those emotions that come with things not going the way that you planned for them to go? No, you weren't. I wasn't. You weren't. Nobody is. We weren't mature enough to properly get through things like that alone. But at 23, you think, well, I'm a man. I just got to deal with it, get through it on my own, because that's the mentality that so many of us have, because it's what is expected of us. It's considered a societal norm. Man up, right? That's what you got to do. Anytime something doesn't go your way, anytime you're faced with any kind of adversity, man up. And then you just have to go about your business. For Bucky, this was a situation where he was hurt and away from his team for the first time in his life. It didn't happen to him in high school. It didn't happen to him in college. It happened to him in his second season of the NFL when he came into the year as one of the projected top running backs in the league. So you're already carrying all this pressure into the season with you to go out and perform, and then you get hurt. That alone is going to make you feel isolated. This is a guy that has been dealt blow after blow after blow. His father died when he was 2 years old. His grandmother died the day he got an offer from the University of Minnesota to go play college. Gets a scholarship offer and can't even be excited and celebrate it because he loses his grandmother. His younger brother was shot and killed at 15 years old. That was just 3 years ago. So Bucky was always able to escape into football. Once he lost that escape, I think he had a really difficult time coping with his injury and being away from his team. That's his second family. It took a mental toll, and those are just not easy to snap out of. And for those of you that follow him on Instagram, you've probably noticed his stories, his posts have become more religious over the last month or so. He's been speaking a lot about his beliefs, about his faith, and I think maybe that's what started to help him work his way back from the mental aspect of all of this. He is on a team now, Emeka Egbuka, incredibly open about his faith. Benjamin Morrison, incredibly open about his faith. I think that's something that he has started to lean on a little bit more because it is becoming a little more accepted. There were reports that Bucky was showing up to the facility at 3:00 in the morning. And I think honestly, it's because he felt lost. And he felt like he had nowhere to turn, nowhere to go. And he just wanted to be where he loved to be. So far beyond football, you have to hope that Bucky is back on track with his mental health. We see way too many stories about athletes. It doesn't matter the sport. It can be baseball, it can be football, it can be basketball. There are athletes that die way, way, way too young because they're dealing and suffering from depression or CTE or whatever the case, because they don't know who they are once they're no longer playing the sport that they spent their entire lives playing. They dedicated from the time they were 6 years old. They dedicated their life to playing this one thing, to working towards this one goal. And once they age out of it and they lose it, they don't know where to turn. It takes away what they think their identity is once they move on from the game, and they become lost. You don't want to see that happen at all with these young men. So I hope that he is starting to find his way back from a mental standpoint, because this goes well beyond Bucky on the field. We're all excited about seeing Bucky back out on the field. Absolutely. But this is about him as a human being. This is a 23-year-old kid who started to go into a very dark place when he had the game and his teammates taken away for something beyond his control. So I hope he's better. I hope he's, in a better place mentally, that he's found that inner peace. And I hope this is an experience that he's able to learn and grow from, so that in the future, when he faces that kind of adversity, when he has kind of the rug ripped out from underneath him, he's better equipped to handle it. And we don't have to talk about a tragedy. So thoughts, prayers, everything with Bucky, that he is back to being Bucky and has learned from all this. Guys, I want to get to the chat, but we're way up against the break, so I will get to as many of those comments as I can. We have keys to victory. That is coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Bucs. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season. Whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both, there's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, PrizePicks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere that PrizePicks operates. The new Stacks feature is an absolute game changer. For example, you can now pick more on a player like Steph Curry. You can pick more on his points, his threes, and his assists, all in the same lineup. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Thank you again for making Locked On Bucs your first listen review every day, and thank you so much for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. All right, what do the Buccaneers need to do to play or to win this game? I do see a comment in here for a late joiner. Real quick, Blue Boater. Morrison won't play either. He is listed as questionable. He missed Friday's practice with a hamstring injury. My speculation is that he does not play. It's really hard to have a hamstring injury pop up at the very end of a week and then be out there Sunday. So again, he has not been ruled out, but it does feel like he's probably not going to play in this one. But lucky for you, I'm going to talk about that here in just a second. But let's start off with what the Bucs need to do to win this game, and we're going to start on the offensive side of the ball. This team has to be at their absolute best in this game. They looked solid last week, and any other week of the season, they would have won, putting up 32 points, but they were let down by the defense. They need to have another day like that, but it certainly won't be because of over 200 rushing yards by the team. This Rams defense is not going to give up yards on the ground at that level. It's going to be closer to what it was against New England. That said, Sean Tucker is your guy again here. He can do enough damage to make sure that the defense isn't just pinning their ears back and going after Baker. You don't need Tucker to average 5 yards a carry. It would be nice, but it's not necessary. You just need him to get positive yards and help this team get into manageable third down situations. Rashad, it's the same thing. Rashad is a little bit more of a threat as a pass catcher. That's not to say that Tucker can't do it, but Rashad is a little bit better in that part of the game. He's also the better pass protector against the blitz, but you have to make sure that this isn't a Detroit situation. You're facing a high octane offense on the road. If you start trailing early, you cannot abandon the run. Baker throwing the ball over 40 times in this game is bad news. Really, you don't want him much over 30 pass attempts. If you can keep it at 30 or below, that's probably the best thing for the team. But those 30 have to be accurate. He can't sail passes. He can't miss open guys. He can't throw behind crossing receivers. This is a game where there is very little room for error, because not only will it put you behind on the scoreboard and start to force the issue, which will play right into the Rams' hands, but that defense will take the ball away from you at any point in this game if you make even the smallest mistake. I love that Godwin is probably playing. He doesn't need to be 2024 Godwin in this game, but he'll make a couple of catches to extend drives. He'll block down the field in the running game, and he's going to help this team on the field be that leader that they need. I like Ibuka in this matchup with Godwin out there. Ibuka with Godwin on the field this season has 264 yards and 2 touchdowns. 2 games that Godwin has played, Ibuka has gone over 100 in each. He has a 100% scoring rate when Godwin is out there with him, and he has his 2 longest receptions of the season in those 2 games. That's what the sheer threat of Godwin out there is going to do. There may not be a ton of chances to take deep shots, but Ibuka could see the kind of coverage that he needs in order for Baker to feel comfortable taking those shots. Defensively, you pray. I mean, I don't know what to make of this. Dean is out. I don't think Morrison plays. So that leaves you with starting Kindle Vildor on the outside, which is a full-blown nightmare waiting to happen against these Rams receivers. Or you move Parrish to the outside and you start Izzian at nickel. I don't want to pull Tyke down from safety to play that role. He has been too good at safety this season. He's number 3 in the league, according to PFF. So taking him away from that spot is actually going to be a net loss for the team rather than a net gain. Izzian is a playmaker. He's shown that he's more than a capable corner on the inside. He's back. He's healthy. Go ahead and let him do what he does. Other than that, at least Rondé Barber also agrees with me about the edge rushers. He said that he doesn't like how they're being utilized right now. I obviously don't either. I've talked about it a lot. In this game, you have to let them get after Stafford. Braswell appears to be good to go, so you have a deeper edge rotation now, but let Nelson and Diaby just go after Stafford. I talked about it again on the crossover. Stafford gets sacked, and he will put the ball on the ground, but teams are bringing him down more when they are not blitzing compared to when they are. That's how you have to attack. That's why it's going to cause me to rip all of my hair out if I see Nelson and Diaby dropping in coverage in this game. Let your pass rush be your pass rush. Please. In this game, that's how you're going to be able to get off the field and get the ball back for your offense. I don't know what kind of answer they could have for Davante Adams in the red zone. The Bucs just do not have the size to stop those constant short yardage touchdowns that Adams is getting. I get it. Bucs fans have been on the right side of these matchups for years with Mike Evans, but outside of just a perfectly timed swat of the ball or getting your arm in between Davante's hands and ripping the ball out before he establishes possession, I'm not sure that they're really going to be able to stop the NFL's top goal line receiver this year. The only way to do it is just not letting them get in that close. That's right back to the whole bend, don't break thing. But once the Rams get inside the 20, they're one of the best teams in the NFL, and they're finishing drives for touchdowns. So that's going to be the problem that they face. If you're not sacking Stafford, if you are not breaking up passes against receivers where, honestly, the Rams have the advantage in those matchups right now based on what I think the secondary will look like, it's going to be real hard to keep them out of the red zone. It's going to be really, really difficult to slow them down. Puka Nacua is probably he's a top, I'll say 5 receiver We can talk about this season. He's probably top 3, maybe number 2. I think JSN is the number 1 receiver in the NFL this season. But Jefferson obviously is great. Jamar Chase is obviously great. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Puka is in the tier with those guys. You don't have the number 1 corner in the NFL this season out there on the field. Zion McCollum will be tested. If you move Parrish to the outside, now either he's going up against Puka or he is at a severe size disadvantage against Devontae Adams. So this is going to be about taking the ball away and bringing Stafford down. That is how you stop this offense from getting into the red zone. And you heard Travis on the crossover yesterday. Rams have not been great at kicking the field goals this year. If you can hold them to field goal situations, you might get a break or two. All right. Going to jump into the chat real super quick. Let's see. We have Ram Faithful. You don't have to read this, but as a Ram fan, I like hearing about the opponent before the game. Your take on Bucky was spot on. It does not get talked about enough. Thanks for that. All the respect. Ram fan, I appreciate you. I hope you enjoy the game. Thank you so much for coming in. I do like seeing fans of other teams jump in because they want to know who they're facing. A lot of these fans don't follow the entire NFL. They want to jump in. They want to see about the team that they're playing. So I appreciate you being so respectful in the chat. Everybody else in the chat, make sure that you're showing Ram Faithful 39 the same respect that he showed all of us. Let's see. Lakita, hope Grizzard has really taken this week to reevaluate how he is spreading out the ball. We have too much talent to focus on 1 or 2 players each game. That may really not be a Grizz issue. You have guys out there that are not getting the separation that they need to. They are not creating the opportunities that you would normally have with your top guys out there. We all love Shep. He's made some great receptions this year. He's made some good plays. He's not going to be a guy that you can hyper target. It's the same with Tez. Tez is more of a situational. You have to create an opening for him and then let him make plays with his legs. So I think they're really kind of being forced into taking what the defenses give them. And over the last couple of weeks, defenses have not been giving them very much. All right, we do have our predictions coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Bucs. NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, login screens, prices jumping at checkout, it's incredibly frustrating. That's why I use GameTime, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. GameTime is fast, easy, and backed by the GameTime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price that you pay. If you want to check out the Buccaneers at home this season, you can get tickets for the Cardinals game next week when they induct Simeon Rice into the Ring of Honor for less than $60. But no worries, if you can't make that game, you can see any of their remaining home games for under $75. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download GameTime today. Wrapping things up here on a live preview edition of Locked On Bucs. Start dropping your predictions in the chat. Evan texted me earlier today. Slight change to his score prediction. His bold, just a reminder, Stafford throws at least 1 interception, and his bonus bold is that Devin Culp gets his first reception on the year. His player of the game was Cade Otton. His score changed it up a little bit, said that he feels like this is going to be an under game. He's taking the Rams 24-19. My bold prediction in this one is that Baker Mayfield has his highest completion percentage of the season. For those of you wondering, his highest percentage so far this year is 87.9% when he went 29 for 33 for 379 and 2 against a fellow NFC West team on the road, the Seattle Seahawks. If the Bucs are going to win this game, Yes, the defense absolutely has to step up and not poop all over their pants again, but it'll be on Baker to make sure that he's getting these receivers the ball, and he desperately needs to show better accuracy. He has not completed over 65% of his passes since the win against the 49ers. He's averaging 60.1% completion rate over the last 4 games. That is not going to cut it against the top teams in the NFC, and it's not going to cut it on the road in prime time. Baker gets all the way back in this one. Player of the game, I'm going to speak it into existence. I have to go back to Ibuka. He's just too good to be kept down for this long. He had a solid game against the Pats, but under 60 yards in 4 of the last 5 games, only 1 touchdown since his breakout game against those Seahawks. With Godwin on the field, he's going to get some open looks. Once he gets the ball, he is a big play waiting to happen every single time. I like for him to have about 10 to 12 targets, finish with about 8 or 9 receptions, and find the end zone. Score, you guys are going to be really, really angry. I don't like this game. I do not like this matchup. I do not like the downward spiral that the defense is on coming into this game. The defense is going to get it right. They are going to get it figured out when they get this final third of the season schedule. But I need to see it in this game. To have confidence that this team can truly succeed and make a deep run in January, I need to see the defense step up against the Rams on the road. Right now, I'm not sure that they can. You don't have Jamel Dean. You don't have Hassan Reddick. In my opinion, again, you're likely not going to have Benjamin Morrison to replace Jamel Dean. All of this is bad news. Godwin, yes, he's going to give them the boost. The offensive line is coming off a fantastic game. They should be able to build off of that. But this Rams team is the hottest in the NFC at least. They may be the hottest and probably the best team in the NFL. I know the Pats and Broncos are both 9-2 or whatever it is. Chicago has a ridiculous win streak where they're overachieving. The Rams look like the best team in the NFL top to bottom right now. I know I doubted them coming into the season. That's on me. Can't be right all the time. And I'll remind those of you that are everydayers, I'll tell those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, over the Rams' 5-game win streak, they are allowing just 13 points per game, and they have 11 takeaways. Their defense is suffocating. Their offense is explosive. In an alternate dimension where the Bucs have Kancey and Reddick and Dean out there, while the offense has Bucky and Mike and J-Mac, along with a fully healthy offensive line, I'm taking the Bucs. In this dimension, where the Bucs have lost back-to-back games in 3 out of their last 4, and they've allowed explosive plays like crazy, I cannot take them to beat the Rams on the road in primetime. I just can't. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be one that we talk about after the game live here on YouTube. It probably would have had a different outcome if everyone is available. But I do not have the trust in the Bucs team that I've seen the last 2 weeks to go out there to Los Angeles and win this game. I'm going to take the Rams 30-25. I'm going to jump into the chat here and see what you guys are predicting. Let's see. We got Florida Dreamhouse, the OG Baker bro here. Bucs with the upset win. Baker with 2 touchdowns and 250 yards. Godwin with a big play. Tucker with 75 yards on the ground with a touchdown. The defense will be huge. Zion returns to form. He's saying Bucs 27-17. What other predictions do we have in here? Mr. King, prediction. The Bucs will not score a touchdown until garbage time. If it's that kind of game, we might go live before the game is even over. There'll be plenty to say about that. Demon Hunter, bold prediction. Mayfield Jr., number 1 overall pick in 21 years to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Well, that means 21 or 20 years from now, the Bucs will be the worst team in the NFL. I hope that's not the case, but I did hear a rumor that Baker and Emily's son, who will be born in April, congratulations to both of them, he's already been offered a full ride to Oklahoma to be their quarterback. We got TNT, player of the game, Antoine Winfield Jr. We have We have Mr. King. I'm sorry, TNT. Can we get a Rams fan to talk smack to Baker before the game? Rams fans know better. And I think there's a special place in their hearts for Baker Mayfield for the short stint that he had there. We got, let's see. Lakita. I predict the defense makes the trip to this game. Godwin and Ibuka play well. Tucker has a good day. Otten finally makes the most of his catches. We got Alexander. Stafford will throw for 350 and 4. It wouldn't surprise me. It really, truly wouldn't. Not with the way that this secondary, this defense as a whole has played over the last couple of weeks. Stafford having 350 and 4 is definitely within the realm of possibility. That is going to do it for this episode. Again, I want to thank the Rams fans that jumped into the live chat, that were respectful and kind to all of the Bucs fans here. I appreciate you guys so much. Hope you all enjoy the game. And real quick, before we get out of here, I do have to give a shout out to the guy who inspired me to do what I do now. Today is my dad's birthday. I want to wish him a very, very happy birthday. Without him, I would not be doing what I do. So definitely a big thanks to him for all of that. Hope it was an awesome birthday, Dad. Please check out everything going on Twitter at Locked On Bucs, at @JYarcho_Bucs, Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Bucs, at both of those places. Subscribe on YouTube with the notifications turned on, as well as wherever you get your podcasts. Become a Locked On Bucs insider. Go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnBucs or click the link in the show notes. You want to support the show, but you don't want to be an insider. It's real simple. Like this episode on YouTube, leave a 5-star review wherever you get podcasts. It does help other Buccaneers fans find the show. We will be back live after the game Sunday night. So again, make sure those notifications turned on so you can jump in and join the live chat. Hope you all have an absolutely outstanding weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, fire the cannons. I want to thank you so much for joining me right here on Locked On Bucs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.